Hi, and welcome to the first session of Season 2 of In the Den with Dr. Jenn. If you're new to the Den, this is an open-minded and fun place for females to explore sexuality in a comprehensive manner and start thinking about female sexuality outside the box. Now, if you've been to the Den before, I'm sure you've noticed my new digs and our new widescreen format. Season 2 promises lots of new excitement to keep you on your toes and thinking about sexuality in ever-expanding ways. To kick off this new year in the Den, we're going to take a look at the college years. And I know a wonderful woman, Carol Stenger, the sex lady at the University at Albany in upstate New York, who has worked with college students around human sexuality and sexuality counseling for several decades. I was fortunate enough to be trained as a co-coordinator of the sexual health peer educators in Albany with Carol when I was a graduate student. I've never met anyone who students connect with so well on the topic of sex and sexual health. And I wanted to find out the state of sex knowledge on campuses, what she's noticed is happening and changing or staying the same for college students and particularly women. So I believe we have her on the phone right now. Hey, Carol. Thanks so much for visiting us in the Den, sharing your wealth of knowledge.
Yeah, you're far away. You sound far away, but I can hear you.
Okay, so first, what changes have you noticed in the sexual health knowledge of students overall?
Well, as you know, Jen, I've been teaching for better than 2 decades at the same institution in upstate New York, and that gives me a particularly good advantage point to see changes and observe changes, and I've noticed major changes, and I attribute that to the abstinence-only education that's being offered in schools. New York State takes the second highest amount of abstinence-only funding, second only to Texas, and that's what I attribute it to. And just to give you some examples, I see students when they've been diagnosed with STIs often, the health center will send them my way, and they have a lot less information. They're asking a lot less sophisticated questions. I've had students ask me questions like, can I get, college seniors, 21-year-olds, asking if they can get pregnant from anal sex, which tells me they don't have the basic plumbing, which isn't a surprise because that kind of stuff is not being covered. Right. And they also have questions about condoms. They're saying, well, I heard in high school that condoms just weren't effective, so why are you suggesting that we use them and practice safer sex? So some of the misinformation that they got from those programs as well.
Well, what are the most pressing issues and concerns for college women around their sexuality when they talk to you in groups or just in your office?
Well, I went to college in the 70s, and what I do notice is that the double standard is back. It never left entirely, but it kind of laid low for a period of time. And that has a dramatic impact on women and their sexuality. I see students really concerned. I teach a sexuality class, and students will sometimes ask, female students will ask male students, how many partners is it okay that I have, as if there's a magic number. They're so concerned about reputation, and I sometimes close my eyes and I feel like I'm in the 1950s. Just not accepting of their own sexuality, not knowing how to go about accepting that because they're feeling the fear of being judged.
What do you wish they knew?
Boy, some of it goes down to the basics. I wish they knew more about their bodies and how they functioned. I wish they knew that sex was a natural, normal, healthy state of affairs, that we're sexual beings. As you know, I did some research in Europe with the Advocates for Youth program, and I saw 16-year-olds and I had conversations with 16-year-old couples that put my senior college students to shame. Because they had that level of acceptance and were much more able to make responsible decisions.
All right, and the fourth question, since I'm going to ask all my guests something a bit personal on this show. So this is a random question generated through the high-tech computer system here at Gorilla Soapbox. Let's see what comes up for you. Okay. What do you prefer a lover to call your genitals, if anything at all?
Not to put me on the spot. Wet, as in, God, you're wet. Because if they're not thinking that that's what it should be called, then they're doing something wrong. Wasting my time.
Thank you so much to Carol, a very unique educator and one of whom I know has touched many lives in really profound ways. Thanks. Sexual fun fact number 499. What benefit of G-spot stimulation is particularly helpful during childbirth? Pain blocking effect. Yeah. Pleasurable pressure on the G-spot increases a woman's pain threshold and tolerance. Ah, good to know. Den Recommend. Now, our Den Chat today was talking about the state of sexual health knowledge on campuses. But what about overall? And why does it seem that our country is at war when it comes to sexual politics? If learning more about this interests you, then I recommend Marty Klein's recent book, America's War on Sex: The Attack on Law, Lust, and Liberty. Powerful language for a powerful book, which shows how the government and religious right use the regulation of sexual expression, entertainment, information, and healthcare to undermine our secular democracy. Now, Marty's meticulous research shows how today's public policies attempt to solve the wrong sexual problems, guaranteeing more of the real sexual problems with which American individuals and communities continue to struggle. He explores multiple things, such as how the right has demonized sexuality, creating a cultural narrative of danger and fear, the relationship between repressive public policy and personal sexual problems, why anyone who defends everyone's sexual rights is perceived as attacking morality and safety, why sexual rights are as important as our other freedoms, and what must be done to stop this war on your sexuality. And here's a really great quote from this book. If you're uncomfortable about blacks, you're a racist. Uncomfortable about Jews, you're anti-Semitic. But today, if you're uncomfortable about sex, you're a civic leader. Before we close today, I wanted to introduce you to some ongoing guests who will be occasionally visiting the Den this year. To my left is Spicy Susie, and Susie is our resident, how would you describe yourself?
Resident sexpert.
So, an expert on sex.
I'm not the one you'd want to take home to mama, but I'm definitely the one you want in the bedroom.
Well, thank you. And to my right, we have Jane, our clinical researcher on female sexuality.
Thank you, Dr. Jenn. I'll drop in occasionally to provide an academic view that's often overlooked, however quite essential for women who have questions or concerns about their sexuality and their health.
Thank you, Jane. I mean, there's so many myths and misconceptions around sexuality. It'll be really nice to have an educated and informed perspective. And last but not least is our one and only J Guns.
Groovy. Oh yeah. Super bad. Dangerous. Give it to me now. Hot for justice. J Guns.
Wow, where can I get an introduction like that? It's been fabulous having you here for the start of year 2 of In the Den with Dr. Jenn. If you'd like to discuss the state of sexual politics in the United States, feel free to visit me at DrJennsDen.com or ZipZapToys.com, or email me at Jennifer@DrJennsDen.com. So reflect on the state of your sexual knowledge and be kind to yourself.
I want to do the part at the end with the... No, I'm sorry. I really think I'm more qualified to do the part.
God, enough, ladies. This is my show.